Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here. Got a special show this morning. Going to watch the second half of that interview with Ken Tucker. I showed on Memorial Day the first half. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy part of our Panhandle heritage and our interview with a true American hero.
Next morning we took off and went to Georgia, Italy. And I never forget when we took off from Tunis along the Mediterranean coast, in clear water close to the shore. You could see the outline of planes that had been shot down along the shoreline. It was everywhere. But we went to Munich, and that was probably about the roughest mission we flew.
Was it a lot of just a lot of action there, or was it just real?
Anti-aircraft fire.
A lot of anti-aircraft.
The flak just.
And I guess that's the one thing, you know, in a plane up there. I guess it's sort of helpless when we felt.
Oh yeah, we never did fear the fighters like we did flak, because you couldn't shoot back at the flak, but you could shoot back at the fighters, and they were you knew you had a human being out there, and if you made it hard enough for him, he'd turn around and go back. Yeah.
But so y'all, well, your first trip was bombing over Munich, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
so what year was this? Around 43 or 44?
It lasted 44.
Okay.
We got shot down on Christmas Day of 44.
Okay.
We were flying a real long one up to Brooks Oil Refinery in northern Czechoslovakia. And we knew it was going to be rough because we had been briefed for it several times, and either the weather or something happened to hit an alternate target. But it was clear up there on Christmas Day, and we always went up past the target. You know, we'd come back down, so when you got off your bomb run, you could put your nose down and head home. And so we went up past it, and I always called a ball turret gunner, and you know, I asked Jack what it looked like up front. He said, "Tuck, it looks bad." He said, "You can't fly through that stuff." He said, "That's too thick." He said, "We're not gonna make it." I said, "Jack, don't be so pessimistic." I said, we'll make it, promise you." Well, we got hit with two pieces of flak about as big as your thumb. One of them hit a push rod in the right inboard engine, and the pilot just had time to feather it before he lost all the oil out of it. Then the other one hit the spinner in the left inboard, on the left inboard prop, and shattered the feathering mechanism. He couldn't feather it. We took from the concussion, we took a dive. We were 28,000 feet, and we leveled out at about, I think it was 13 or 14,000 feet before the pilot and co-pilot together could pull it out. But anyway, we were headed home, and the pilot said, "Well, no problem." He said, "That pop will come off in a few minutes," and he said, "They're going to make it fine." But it wouldn't come off. And he said, "Well, he'd try to shake the engine. The engine was loose in a mount." He said, "Maybe we can shake the engine out." You can't shake a B-17. It's too big and slow. But anyway, it's both of them stayed with us, and we got to the Yugoslav coast, and he said, "Well, we'll just ditch it in the Adriatic Sea." Well, we made a pass over it, and it looked like a cotton patch down there. It was so white with big breakers. North wind blowing down that, you know, on Christmas Day, it was decent. He said, we can't ditch it in this. And so he said, "We'll have to bail out." He said, "Turn back over the land." He said, we're getting too low, and it's too rugged down there. We can't, he said, "Well, maybe we can make it to this." There's an island right off the coast. And we did. if it had been 100 yards further, we probably wouldn't have made it.
Oh my goodness.
But there was a B-24 went in ahead of us. They were standing out down the side of it was not a runway, you know. It was so many planes had to all get in there to, it was a mess. But they were sitting out there watching us. They don't, you know, you can't belly land a B-24, and if anything ever happens to it, you got to walk off and leave. Because, anyway, we had 2 crews there, and
so y'all landed okay? I mean, just sort of.
Oh yeah, we landed all right.
Yeah.
He put the wheels down and landed. He was just the best in the business, things like that. And so when we came to a screeching halt, well, nobody said a word. I went and opened the door, and there was 3 Yugoslav women, soldiers, standing right out in front of our door. And they was back about 25 feet or so. That was the meanest looking people I had ever seen. They had their machine guns, you know, like what we call a grease gun with a Polish stock in them. They had them on their shoulder. They had bandoliers of ammunition. They had grenades on their belt, and they stared at us, and none of them had any kind of expression on their face. That's what disturbed me, because if they'd have smiled or something, you know, it'd been all right, but no expression whatsoever.
Wow.
So I pulled back in there and I unzipped my flak jacket, because I had my 45 right there, you know. I said, this won't do. So my pilot came around there, and there was a Yugoslav sergeant. He lived in Chicago. He said he came to the States when he was 12 years old, and he went back to visit relatives when the war started. But he got caught over there, and they wouldn't let him come back, so they drafted him into the army. So he was there to take care of the Americans that stopped over.
Okay.
And he got them women out of the way. He said, don't give them anything. He said, they'll beg you, they want your shoes. The 2 things that they want is your shoes and your 45. But he said, if you give one something, he said, they all mob you, and you got to give everything you got. So he wouldn't let us give anything to them, and he made them stand their distance, and he took us down to where we were going to sleep.
That was a tough way to spend Christmas, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And there was an American captain and 8 men there. They had a bulldozer, and he said they were waiting for somebody. I don't know who was supposed to come. They were going to take them 8 men and that bulldozer up. He said just a few miles up the coast from where we were, and they were going to scrape out a landing strip. Well, they should have scraped it out right where we were. Yeah. But anyway, they had food. Everything was canned. We had canned turkey, and but he said, "Oh, we get plenty of supplies." He said, "All I got to do is call." He called a base over in Italy, and they dropped supplies out to him. So we stayed there, and our pilot called air rescue in Italy, told them where we were, and they said, well, stay there until, he said, we'll get you sometime tomorrow afternoon. He said, pilot said they got a goody bird up there parachuting supplies out to the Yugoslav partisans. And he said, they will come by and pick us up tomorrow. So sure enough, they came, landed, and picked up. The V-24 crew had 11 men. We had 10, and there was one guy that was shot down somewhere way up north of there, and he said he had been walking it was about 6 weeks ago he got shot down, but he ended up down there on the Yugoslav coast, and he went back to Italy with us.
Wow. So y'all got back, and once you got back, you just got another plane, or?
Oh yeah, we were only gone 24 hours. So I think 2 days later we started flying missions again. I mean, just like nothing had ever happened.
How many missions did y'all fly?
35.
35
You
missions?
were required to fly your 35 before you go back home.
And I guess each one of them was always a challenge and a danger and
Well, we only had 2 or 3, I can remember, maybe 3 that we flew that we didn't have any aircraft fire.
Oh, so 32 out of 35 you had some challenges.
Yeah, we
what the fighter planes? Did y'all have a lot of fighter planes?
we didn't have as many as the 8th Air Force out of England, but
yeah,
we had some. But we had fighter escort.
Yeah.
We had the Tuskegee Airmen was one of our squadrons.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Very good.
And we had the 51s and the P-38s that flew escort for us. So we never did sweat the fighters because we knew we had the escort, and we could put up a lot of flack ourselves, you know.
Yeah. So y'all unloaded a lot of bombs then, didn't you, in that period of time?
Oh gosh, yeah. We a normal load was 10 500-pounders. So we didn't get all of our planes to go back with us. A lot of them had to go to Russian territory because they ran low on fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck would have it, the German fighters came up and engaged some of the front echelons, you know, with groups and trail. And when we got there, the fighters were gone. We dropped our bombs, and went back, and they said that some of the last ones up there that got jumped by the German fighters too. But we were in the middle, and we didn't see a fighter all day.
Oh, good. So you came on back, and that sort of, the war was sort of winding down then, I guess.
Yeah, that was right before the end.
Yeah. Well, then you I guess was it. One thing I know, my father-in-law flew a P-38. He always talked about 2 things in the P-38: how cold it was and how loud it was. Now, did you have the same problem in the P-17? Was it cold?
Not really. It was cold, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not all that loud.
Okay.
But I guess you get used to it.
Yeah. So then I guess your teams stayed together. And you had a good bomb. I know reading in the book you talked about your bombardier was such a good bombardier. You had a good crew.
Well, I think I was talking more about the navigator.
Navigator.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not the bombardier.
Oh,
Navigator.
he was the only one we lost over there.
Yeah.
And he was lost because he happened to be the best in the business. See, when a big wheel came down to fly with your group, with your squadron, he wants the best navigator and the best bombardier in your outfit to go with it.
Uh-huh.
And Halter was called on a number of times because he was the best.
Yeah.
And they were leading the group when the guys in the front of the plane, the pilot, navigator, and all them, they were watching. They knew what plane the horse was in. It was in the lead ship, and they saw it get hit, and they said there was 7 shoots out, but that was just. Yeah. It was a big blow because he was such a nice guy and the best in the business, you know. Well, and you know, his family didn't even know all the details until about a couple of years ago.
Really?
When we started, when we published the book, one of them, their family, saw the book on the internet and got in touch with Wanda.
Yeah.
And then we started he told the guy, oh, I think it was one of Halsey's family, his sister-in-law or somebody. She told us that the International Red Cross had told his family that he was taken prisoner and was shot in an escape attempt. Mm. But like I told Walter and everybody else that had talked about it, I said, I knew that was not true because he was too smart for that. Yeah. And it was toward the end of the war, and I said, that could not have happened to Halsey. And so, lo and behold, only about a couple of years ago, we found out exactly what happened. When he went down, when he landed, him and another guy with parachute out together, they landed. Well, the Germans picked him up, but they didn't put him in a POW camp. There was a concentration camp right nearby, so they threw him in there. And they were in there, but there was an American, an OSS officer that was also in there. Why he was there, but he's the one that got the story out how it all happened. Mm-hmm. He said that a couple of SS officers came in and just murdered Halsey and this other guy in cold blood, and but he escaped. He didn't say how he escaped or what, but anyway, he escaped and got back to the American lines, and he came back to the States and did really well. But he said that he took Halsey's dog tag and this other guy's dog tag. He brought it back, and during the Nuremberg War Crimes trial, he went over there and took their dog tags and told them what happened to try to locate the SS people that was assigned in that area, you know. Yeah. We don't know how that came out, but wow. But anyway, wow. We do know that he was murdered in wow. cold blood.
Well, then I guess the war ended, and I guess when the war ended, where were you when it ended? Were you back home then, or?
Well, when I came back to the States, I came home for 30-day leave to start with. Mm-hmm. Then from home, I reported to Miami Beach for 7 days rest and recuperation.
Yeah, well deserved.
And from there, I got my assignment. I was sent to Ellington Field, Texas. When I got there, they didn't know what to do with me. They had a number of jobs, and so they said, well, how about the post office? I said, well, it sounds good to me because I'll be indoors, and, yeah. And I'm not going to be here long anyway. So I was working in the post office. I was there almost 3 months and wondering what was keeping them, you know. But they was taking their time about discharging people because they wanted everything to go just so. And I finally got it. And from there, I caught the bus home.
Well, you talk about the title of your book is Last Roll Call.
Yeah.
And now the men of your crew and all that was the original started with, most of them gone now?
All of them are gone. I'm the last one. That's why I call it
the last one.
That's why I call it Last Roll Call.
Yeah.
Because I'm the sole survivor.
Wow.
And,
well, it's a wonderful book, and I know the experience that you had. Just there's not many men left that could tell that story you just told.
Well, you know, when I think back, I considered it an honor to have done what I did. Mm-hmm. I had nothing to do with it, being there or anything else. My pilot, he saved, I'm sure he saved our butt more than one time. Yeah. And the navigator, he always kept us in the right place. Yeah. So, and like I said, that our flight engineer was one of the most resourceful people I'd ever seen. Yeah. And I told an incident in there about one time we had I think we were bombing an airfield. we had about, I think it was a 200-pound bomb, or 100, I don't remember which, hung on them arming wires. And we were at 25,000 feet, and when the radio operator always looks in the door and hollers, all away, or there's one hanging. And I got in there, Dwight, he unhooked his oxygen mask, put on an oxygen walk-around bottle, clipped it to his shirt, walked into the, with a pair of pliers, walked into the bomb bay. Of course he couldn't, we had a chest pack, he couldn't wear his parachute there. He straddled that open bomb bay, left at 25,000 feet of air under him. He took that bomb across his leg and cut the arming wires and threw it down and went back and plugged into his oxygen and plugged into his intercom and started singing, "Take me back to Tulsa, I'm too young to marry." I mean, just like it was all the other days were.
I guess, yeah, that's just being a hero, the American hero.
He got the Distinguished Flying Cross for it. As far as I'm concerned, he could have got the Medal of Honor.
Wow, wow.
But anyway, he did it without hesitating.
Yeah.
And with no emotion whatsoever. Afterwards, he was just as calm and singing.
Well, you know, Ken, as I look back on to the men your age and your generation, that was just the way y'all did things. It was, you know, it was amazing the stories I've heard, and it was my father and my father-in-law and you and so many of these men that served in World War II. Your attitude and your American, the spirit of being able to get things done.
Yeah, see, that was different. That was not a political war. That was a kill or be killed. Yeah. And we were determined, and we did it.
Well, it was just a wonderful story, a chapter in American history. And on behalf of all the viewers, on behalf of all Americans, we just want to thank you for your service to our country.
And I appreciate your interest.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.